Good morning and welcome to the press conference to launch a nominations process for the fourth round of nominees for the Proud of Them Youth Recognition Campaign. On the panel, we have the Minister responsible for Community Affairs, Youth and Sports, Minister Bowden. We have the Chairman of the National Youth Commission, Mr. Reverend Donovan Myers, and we have the Assistant Chief Officer for Youth and Sports, Joel Francis. It is a pleasure to be able to bring this to you this morning. The Minister obviously will have some brief remarks. The Chairman will have some brief remarks, and then the Assistant Chief Officer will do the nomination process. So I'll now turn it over to Reverend Myers to give us some indication of what's been going on with the nomination process.
Thank you very much, Minister, Chief Officer. Thanks for this opportunity. The National Youth Commission welcomes another round of the Proud of Them campaign, and this has arisen, this whole campaign, from the previous commission and has been ably led by Mr. Joel Francis and his committed team. We believe that any opportunity to highlight and celebrate the accomplishment of our youth must be embraced. In a time when many persons perceive young people as either being disinterested, uninhibited, and uninvolved, the truth is that the majority of young people in the Cayman Islands is aware, astute, and very focused on achieving success. There are more youth who are engaged in positive behaviors than are those who are headed in the wrong direction. And I believe this initiative provides the needed acknowledgement and reward for positive behavior, while at the same time it creates a benchmark for other youth to emulate. But these accomplishments must always be appreciated against the backdrop of the many challenges that our young people face. Hence, the National Youth Commission takes seriously its advocacy role on behalf of Cayman's youth. Consequently, the newly appointed commission, which has been constituted since March, is in the process of developing our work plan to drive the activities in which we'll be engaged over the life of our tenure. Significant among the focus that we want to have are, one, the giving of space to youth voices, so as to give the opportunity to hear young people and the aspirations and needs that they have from themselves, so as not to speak just for them, but to hear from them. But secondly, to encourage the continued professionalization of youth work in the Cayman Islands. For we believe that youth workers need to be properly equipped as well as to be relevant to the needs and challenges that young people have. And then thirdly, we want to ensure that the responses that we advocate are based on evidence, so that the issues that we tackle are real and the solutions that we might proffer are going to be workable. At the same time, we want to deepen our engagements and partnerships with the community towards these objectives that we have set for ourselves, and will shortly be calling on the very many stakeholders in our community to work with us to strengthen the platform from which we will launch the youth into the future. So I trust that this round we will have many nominations, and that we will be able to have an opportunity shortly to congratulate those who will be selected. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Reverend Myers. I'll now hand over to the Minister responsible for Community Affairs, Youth and Sports to give his remarks.
Okay. Thank you, Chief Officer, and a pleasant good morning to everyone. I think that Reverend Myers will have to depart shortly for another engagement, but we thank you, sir, and thank you for accepting the chairmanship. I know your enthusiasm, and you're well equipped for this task because of your involvement with not only on the spiritual side, but on the teaching side of things for young people. So thank you very much, and we look forward to great things.
Thank you, Minister.
We are here today to seek community input into the nomination process for the fourth round of the Proud of Them recognition scheme. This initiative serves to highlight the many achievements of our young men and women. From previous rounds, we have learned that honorees have diverse interests and abilities, but also possess some common denominators. These include and unbridled determination, dedication, as well as strong personal responsibility. Their achievements are laudable. In a time when youth must overcome obstacles that range from unemployment and education-related challenges to increased exposure to drugs and crime. For our part, government regards the welfare of our youth as a matter of national importance. Accordingly, this initiative highlights the positive side of community life to our youth and encourages them to focus on their dynamic potential. What it also does is to magnify the talents that these boys and girls possess and highlight the rewarding end results of their efforts for themselves, their parents, friends, teachers, and for the wider community that has helped them to mature into promising young adults. If these successful nominees are seen as role models and high achievers, they represent only a fraction of the thousands of excellent young people who live all around us in each and every neighborhood of these islands. Behind the occasional headline of one gone astray, there are many good apples who shine in their roles as student leaders and taking part in music, theater, debating, sports, and even beauty pageants. It is to recognize these worthy young people that we are here today. I encourage everyone to look around and submit the names and bios of those you consider to deserve special recognition. At the end of the nomination process, the final recipients will be featured in the media and on billboards as a means of promoting community-wide exposure of their positive efforts. This program was initiated years back by the National Youth Commission, as you've heard, which is represented here by the newly appointed chair, Reverend Donovan. On that note, I remind you that a revised and updated National Youth Policy continues to be implemented behind the scenes. It guides the daily work of the Youth Services Unit, as well as the unifying efforts of government's Interministerial Committee for Youth Issues. On behalf of government and those in the public and private sectors who work with youth, I applaud our young stalwarts across the Cayman Islands and look forward to seeing and hearing great things from them in the future. I also thank those private sector benefactors and individuals who partner with us in our youth-oriented objectives by providing scholarships and other opportunities. You are integral to building a stronger, smarter, and more efficient Cayman Islands. Finally, I must say well done to all former Proud of Them recipients and to those who are soon to be nominated. May you all continue to go from strength to strength. God bless and thank you.
Thank you, Minister. I'll now hand over to the Assistant Chief Officer, Youth and Sports, to give a details of the nomination process. And he's also the chair of the Proud of Them committee as well. So I would just hand over now to Joel Francis to outline that nomination process.
Thank you, Ms. Dorian. As I said, as Ms. Dorian has said, I'll outline the nomination process going forward and a little bit about the work plan to achieve the next set of awardees. The nomination period will begin today and will close on the 29th of May. We will take approximately a week to do the evaluations, after which we will prepare the billboards and get them installed around about the end of June. We are looking for those who have achieved high attainment in academics, in their careers, in businesses, in sports, in cultural endeavors, or in community service. And I would like to encourage everyone to nominate any youth that they think is doing well in any of these areas. Please do not assume that someone else will nominate the young person because the person is a high achiever. If you see a young person and you want to nominate them, please go ahead. There's nothing wrong in us getting more than one nomination, and it only adds to the strength of the nomination. In conducting our evaluations, we will be looking for evidence in the submissions that the young person is first of all, has significant achievement. We'll be looking for evidence of responsible young people and reliable young people, evidence that they're hardworking, evidence that they've demonstrated leadership qualities, frequent participation in a wide variety of events would score highly as well in our evaluation. And we're looking for young people who have persevered, who may face particular challenges but have risen above them. So any stories of young people that you know who have risen above a significant challenge, we would want to hear from you in nominating them. And we also look for evidence that that they motivate other young people and are strong among their peers. So that would be our approach to select the awardees. We'll select 12 of them. In the past, we've had upwards of 150 nominations per round. We're looking for that kind of response again, and we will be making our announcement in early June as to the 12 that have been selected.
Thank you, Mr. Francis. We'll now open up for any questions that you may have.
Shanda Gallego, Radio Cayman. This is the fourth round, yes. And Mr. Francis, you mentioned that you have been seeing a lot of nominations. Can you maybe just expound a little bit on the support that you've been receiving thus far from the community in regards to nominations?
Oh, it has been incredible, and the reception that we've had from those who have been selected and their parents. It has been amazing to see what, not just their family, but what the community that they live in say to them. We recognize and we acknowledge the good that you've been doing. It has been an amazing motivator for the young people who have received these awards. In speaking to them, and the minister can speak to it as well. When we had a reception, just to recognize them and present them with their certificates last year, it is amazing how it has made them feel. And we often think that young people just do good. But a lot of the times, a lot of them face challenges. And by us saying to them, we recognize what you're doing, it helps them to stay on the right track and to continue to achieve more.
Okay. My next question, moving along. The honorees or the awardees, do we get to see them highlighted apart from the billboards? Like Reverend Meyer has mentioned, giving space to the youth voices. Do we see them going out in the communities throughout the 6 months that they're highlighted for at any time?
Well, now that we have the National Youth Commission up and going, and the fact that he has alluded to that already, I think that going forward you will see a lot more of that. In the past, we haven't had that much interaction with the community. We've had them, at press briefings. We've had them at governors for the reception and on the billboards. But we really haven't utilized them as such. But I think that is certainly something that we should be working towards. And from what Reverend Meyer said, I'm sure that the Youth Commission is looking at that to lend their voice at different events and at different functions, which is really showing off what they bring to the table, really.
And just to add, we also prepare features on the information that we have in the nomination forms, and we send it out to the media, the newspapers in particular. So we ask them to continue to work with us to feature them, to explain to the public exactly why we chose them to be awarded.
Speaking of the exposure, is it just limited locally? Do we get any international exposure with the awardees?
Not at this time, right?
No, we've passed on information. I think the Queen's Leaders Awards came out last year, and we did put forward several of our awardees for that recognition as well. It was a Commonwealth Award started by the Queen, but that's as much as we've done internationally.
Yeah.
All right. And of course, the package for the awards, what does that entail when the awardees get their certificate? What else do they get with that?
One of the things that we do is a stipend. They get $500 each, and they really enjoy getting that. So that's just a small appreciation for what they've done and to let them feel appreciated. So that's really it in terms of them being featured in the press, on billboards, and on the terms of receiving a stipend.
That's it from me. Radio Cayman.
But while we're waiting on other questions, I'd like to stress the importance of nominating young people that you believe are worthy. It's just like when we do the National Heroes Day. Don't expect that someone else will nominate X, Y, or Z. Take the time to do it yourself, because that young person, if they get 10 nominations, well, that's all the better for them. It shows that they're well deserving, and it actually helps the selection process. So do not hesitate to nominate. And there are a lot of wonderful young people in our communities. We've had the nominees in the past have been of exemplary. It's been a really tough task to select them, and I think that the committee that is have done a great job. No one has argued about those who have won in the past, because they are really, really young people that we can look up to and see that as they continue along their path of success. So it's a wonderful motivational tool for young people. I think in these days when they're often criticized, it goes a long way to boosting them and making them feel proud. And even those that don't win still feel proud of their colleagues and peers who have won and feel, honored to have been nominated. So it's just a very important thing in the community. I think we should really embrace it. Anyone else? Okay.
Right. Thank you all. We'll come back when we have the nominees, and so you can see the wonderful set of young persons that we do have out there. I keep saying at least 90% or even 95% of our young people on the island are positive young persons, and this is a process to showcase what we do have out there.
Thank you all.
Thank you.